Hello everyone, this is Roller from Winter Bros, and in this video segment we're going to show you how to create the plastic wrapping, or the blister pack as it's called, for your model in Daz Studio. As you can see, we've already got our group with the G2M battle dress with the Genesis 2 male. He's outfitted and he's carrying a weapon, and we sized it up earlier in one of the other videos, and so we know that he's going to be 2 meters wide is the size we're going to need for our pack, and 2.5 high. So we're going to go ahead and hide him from the scene for now, and then what we're going to do is up here on the main menu bar we're going to use create new primitive, because we're going to be using primitives for this video training. We're going to use a cube, and down here, so we already got the type as cube, and if you click on the bar there's other choices, but for now we're going to just use the cube. We'll go ahead and leave it set at world center. We'll leave the primary axis Y positive, and out here in the options the size and the divisions is going to be important. So the size we already have set is to meters, which is what we want because that's how we sized it out earlier. You can use whatever you're comfortable with and how you've sized out your model. Since we do know that we need ours to be at least 2.5 tall and 2 wide, we're going to go ahead and make it 3 meters square. Cubes, when they're created as a primitive, will always be square, so they don't give you a length, width, and height. They just give you a size. And we'll just go ahead and we'll go ahead and make the divisions here. We'll divide it up by tens. And then we'll go ahead and click accept, and you'll see it, I created a cube here in Scene tab, but it's kind of large, so we'll click this little button right there so that we can see the whole cube. And there you can see, we'll kind of rotate it around a little bit. You can see there's a cube created in the scene. And what we're going to do next is we're going to make some adjustments to the cube. It's going to become the actual plastic wrapping, or the blister pack as it's called. So the next thing we're going to do is, with the cube select in the Scene tab, we're going to go up here to Edit. We're going to go to the Geometry Entry, and then we're going to go Convert to Sub D, and you'll see that give us some rounded corners. And if we change the view to the wireframe, you can see it gives a smoother look to our cube. Okay, now we know we're going to need our cube to be a little bit smaller in the width and the height too, since we made it 3 by 3. So what we're going to do, we'll go back here to a textured view and make it a little bit easier to work with, and we'll leave the wire shading in there too, so we can see what we're doing. And let's go ahead and turn on the Genesis 2 male real quick, and we'll hide the cube for a moment. You see that he's within there. So we're going to size the cube itself. We'll hide him again. We're going to size that cube to the Genesis 2 male. Okay, so we'll go back to the front view here. So with the cube selected in the Scene tab, we'll go over to the parameters. Whoops, I'm sorry about that. And we're going to actually scale it a little bit. Now we know on the width, if we look down here on the floor, we can see that it's 3 wide and it's centered, and we only need it to be 2 wide. So what we're going to do is we're going to scale it on the x-axis, which is left to right, and we're going to scale it down to where it looks like it's approximately in the 2 meters, which is about right there. And then we'll go ahead and rotate the view a little bit, and you see it's quite deep. We don't need it quite so deep. But what we're going to do next is we're going to turn the cube onto wireframe mode, and we're going to turn the Genesis 2 male back on so we can see him, and then we're going to rotate it back around. So what we're going to do is going to scale it down a little bit, because it came in as 3 high, and we only need it to be about 2.5 high to show to capture the Genesis 2 male and the battle axe. So we'll go back, we make sure the cube is still selected, and on the scale we're going to take the y-axis is up and down, so that's the direction we want to scale it down. So we're going to click on the Y scale, and we're going to bring it down just a little bit, right about there. We'll just leave a little headroom in there because we're going to actually okay, it looks like he's going to fit good on the height. We might bring it back up just a little bit. Let's type a direct number. Let's just make it at 80%. And you can see now that we got this cube loaded, you can see that we actually it needs to be even narrower to fit our Genesis 2 male model. So we'll go back to the XY scale and we'll just go ahead and scale it down some more to what we think might fit. And then we'll go to translate and we'll slide it over along that same axis, the x-axis, to make sure it's going to encapsulate him. And it looks like it's going to look nice there. So you can see we pretty well got the height and the width to fit our model. So the next thing we're going to do is we can go to the right. You can go to the right or the left view. It doesn't matter which one you choose. And we're going to stay on our cube. And we're going to use the translation and move it back a little bit along the z-axis, which is front to back, because we want that when we put create the plastic wrap or the blister pack, we want to be close to the Genesis 2 model, and you can see there we've gotten it pretty well inside there. So now that we got this, we'll slide back over here. And now we're going to go to make some adjustments. What we're going to actually do is, you can't really model within Daz Studio, but you can do you can delete portions of the mesh for an object or even any other thing that's you can load into Daz Studio. So we're going to go up here on the menu. We're going to go to Window, Panes, Tabs, and we're going to open up the Tool Settings. Now, if you've already got the Tool Settings opened up in one of your working panels, just click on its tab. But we're going to go ahead and open it up here. And we're going to just leave it free floating so it might be a little easier for us to do our work. So now that we have the tool settings up, what we really want to do is delete this back portion of the cube, which we no longer need. So we're going to go on this active tool and we're going to go to Geometry Editor. And now with the cube still selected in the Scene tab, you can see if we right click, we'll get some geometry related type work with the Geometry tool. Editor tool. So what we're going to do is we got a couple things we can do. We want to go ahead and use symmetry. So you can click that. And then once you've selected that, what we're going to do is we're going to, there's a couple ways we can do this. We're going to select by polygon selection, which showed up as the default here. Yours should have too, but if not, you can just click it. Then another thing we're going to do is we're going to just you can see if we click on the cube, we just have to individually select all the polygons, and that's not exactly what we want. So what we want to do is we want to use a different type of selection mode. So we're going to go to selection mode, and instead of being the drag, we want to go to the marquee. And what will happen is we can click up here on the screen, and we can come down through here, and we'll make sure we only select those polygons in that square that we want to select. And now it will select everything on the cube that from front to back, because we turned on the symmetry there for x-axis. And you see, and now we want to get rid of all those. Now the method to get rid of all these selected polygons is basically click on the cube. The next thing you're going to do is change the visibility. You're going to say hide selected polygons. And then they'll disappear. They're still part of the mesh, but you just can't see them. And then the next thing you're going to do is you're going to right click again, and you're going to actually go to Geometry Editing, and you're going to tell it to delete hidden polygons. And the polygons of which select and hidden, it says here with a little warning, there was 340 of them, and it's asking to make sure you want to do that, because you're not going to be able to do this later. So we're going to go and say yes, we want to get rid of those polygons. And now essentially what we've created, well, let's go ahead and close the Tool Settings tab. And you can see that we have an open back on the box. If you actually look up here in the auxiliary viewport, you can see it contains the G2M figure. Of course, he might need raised up a little bit, so let's go ahead and take care of that really quick. We'll click on him there, and we'll change the translations. The Y is the up and down, so we'll go ahead and raise him up a little bit to fit the box better. There you go. And now we'll go back to the front view. Here we go. Let's go ahead and center that. And now what we'll do is we'll turn on the texture shaded mode. Now we do have the box, but you cannot see the G2M figure in there. So the next step on this is we want to reselect the cube over here in the Scene tab. And what we're going to look at now is we're going to go to the over the Surfaces tab, over here in the tools, we're going to click on surfaces. Oh, sorry about that. I do that all the time. We're going to click the cube, and we're going to go down here to opacity. And opacity in Daz Studio is the same as transparency in other applications, and it's set at 100%. So what we're going to do is we're going to narrow this down, and you can see as we drop it down, we can start to see the G2M character in the background. So it gives it kind of a glassy or plastic effect to the material. So we'll have to pick something that looks good. You have to pick what fits over the model you have behind it. We're going to go with about, let's say, 30% on the opacity strength, because that's the size, what we think really looks pretty good and shows the model through. And you can see that he's pretty well centered. We got him set in there pretty good. So in the next video segment, we're going to show you how to create the back paper that is going to be behind him, so that you can attach the model titles or whatever your product blister pack is for.